We're in the solar system, as it were, third rock from the sun. So if you were a tiny little Mexican alien and you are lost out there, tune in because we're going to talk about you today. This is the Agree to Disagree show. It's Thursday, September 14th, 2023. My name is Brian Engelman, and that guy
is Blake Walley.
Yes, and we're here to unpack the news for you. We definitely just told you that we're going to discuss tiny little aliens. And
I feel like an alien on your planet, Brian, just to let you know.
What's that? An alien on my planet?
I feel like an alien on your planet.
In my orbit? You're an alien in my orbit?
Covering the insanity that is the news cycle. But yes, let's hear about the headlines, because this is every day. It's not like just once a month, like, wow, we got some really crazy stuff. It's every day.
Every day, man. So we're going to get into the alien story. We're going to discuss that. We're going to talk about Joe Biden's his impeachment inquiry. You know, we're going to unpack that. We're also going to talk about Hunter Biden's indictment. It's about time, but you guessed it. It's not quite what you expected. It's a bunch of happy horse crap. We're going to talk about the second term for Joe Biden. Well, you know, when they announced that he was going to be running a second time, I remember I did a short on YouTube and I just laughed. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. There's no way this guy's getting a second term. All the smart people out there claim that it's going to be Michelle Obama or whatever that person's actual given name is. And, you know, because they pleasured the president, they're somehow entitled to run the country now.
Well, I disagree, Brian. But we'll get to that.
Wait. What part do you disagree with? That Obama
Joe Biden is an outstanding civil servant who serves the American people. All right.
Yeah, now you're starting to sound.
Before we get to the opinions, let's just get the headlines.
You're starting to sound like you have an alien opinion of yourself. I'm like, an alien has invaded Blake's body. I've never heard him say Joe Biden's a stand-up civil servant, but we're going to discuss that about the second term. Is Kamala going to do this? We're going to break it down. We're also going to ask about healthcare workers. Should they be forced to take the new COVID vax? By the way, if you want to see countervailing views for all of the stories, I can't believe we live in kindergarten world where the powers that be are convinced that you're not allowed to think for yourself. I guess the CIA is drunk with power. They seem to be running everything, and they think that they're in charge of all the fake stories, but you're not.
Maybe they know better.
Yeah, they think they know better. They really do. So go to cdc.gov/vaccine if you want to get vaccine-related medical claims and political implication information, and go to all the other things listed below if you want to hear countervailing views to hear what the official stance is going to be. But should healthcare workers be forced to take the new COVID vaccine? Should the CIA? I think the theme of the day and the star of the day is going to be the CIA, Blake. Because I guess they are the ones that are ruining everything on Earth. I think it's them. I think it's all about the CIA and their 51 fake intelligence officials.
Perhaps they know more than we do, and they just won't share it with us, Brian.
I know. We're just peasants. We're lucky to be slopping piles of mud together in the dirt, like in Monty Python. They're galloping across the lands, and we're just the peasants toiling in the mud, doing nothing but digging in mud. We're just if we're talking about aliens, they're the Nephilim, right? They're the enlightened ones, and we're just the Cro-Magnon ape-like things that they tweak the genetic code with, just so we're smart enough to work the machines, but too dumb to question their authority. Question my authority. So anyway, should the CIA be forced to pay people? I'm sorry, let me read that differently. The CIA should pay people to shut up about the lab leak. True or false? Agree or disagree with that? Also, Ukraine is just that black swan waiting to launch a rocket and blame it on Russia, to create some sort of code to shut your power grid down and then blame Russia, because it's all about Ukraine. Luckily, it's all connected to Hunter Biden and Joe Biden as well, but Ukraine, should they have 1 month deadline, a deadline of 1 month to win the war or concede? I don't know. I kind of like that. If you replace 1 month with yesterday and put the fucking weapons down, but we'll get into that. Also, should all Russian propagandists be hunted down for justice? We'll talk about that. Elon Musk, was that a story from today? Yes, it is. I mean, he was being attacked by the ADL, and we discussed that the other day. But should Elon Musk, is he being deliberately targeted by the deep state? Once again, the CIA, they run everything. They're the good guys like Mitt Romney and such. Is Mitt Romney in our stack?
It sure is. It was the last story I sent you.
Did I mention it?
Might not have been. Yeah, we might have run out of room.
Oh, no. I found it. It was here. Sorry.
Okay.
And finally, and I made a short video on this. Of course, it has no views, but I love what I said. I think it's pretty pithy and perfect.
All right.
But yeah, Senator Mitt Romney, he should run for a second term and finish the job that he started. We're going to discuss all these stories and more on the other side of our first stinger. Here we go. All right. So before we get into anything here, I just want to make sure you're following Blake. He's on Twitter at TV's Blake Walley, and check out his homepage, thenextlevelnews.com. It has all of the uploads of this show and his other shows and his writings, his ramblings. I'm still waiting for the Blake's Takes segment, but I digress. I have wishful thinking, but
once I get a little more time, maybe we can get a budget together and I can focus on this stuff full time, like I've been trying to do for the last 12 years.
Yes. No doubt. I know it's like I'm working one job to do this job, then I wrap this up, then I work my other job, and then I got to start uploading all the files, and then processing them. By the way, so where we process them, all the places. YouTube.com/The New American Media. Rumble.com. I think it's /The New American Media on Rumble. Follow us in both of those places. All the videos go there. We're also going to be relaunching our website. It's still up. You can go to thenewamericanmedia.com. So if we're banned by every stinking social media outlet, we will still publish at thenewamericanmedia.com. It's just like an extra step between me and toast, says Mitch Hedberg about Pepperidge Farm's extra wrap on their bread. But yes, it is an extra step. So I usually don't end up opening up the program and uploading the same content that I've already uploaded to the other places, but I will. We'll get to that. So if we disappear, find the New American Media at thenewamericanmedia.com because the old American Media failed you. We're on Truth Social, The New American Media. We're on X at American_media_. Tag us, comment to us, join us. We're on Spotify. We are putting our podcast out there. It's the Agree to Disagree Show. So find us. Facebook, The Agree to Disagree Show. Just run a search. Maybe you'll get lucky and find us. Instagram.com/The New American Media. And then Telegram, we are TNAM Chat and TNAM Official. TNAM, because the news always matters. So, welcome to the show and welcome to Hunter's Indictment. Drum roll, please. Blake, I don't even think you had this one in the stack, did you?
I think this was a late breaking story. Yeah, this was came up in the last hour or so that Hunter Biden has been officially indicted for the gun charges. I know, Brian, you put it out because it was MTG tweeted something.
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah, and as you say there, is did they omit his most serious and obvious crimes? I would think so, because I think the gun charge is probably the least important. So
yeah,
maybe
because if you think about the gun charges, just to jump in on that one point, I mean, if you think about the gun charges, it's like it's such a goofy, wacky law. Some of this gun stuff, it's like, well, if they wanted to go after, because there's a problem. There's federal and then there's state laws. So, like federally, it doesn't matter that certain states have decriminalized marijuana, for example. Take an easy and obvious, basic one. They could theoretically come after you for that. Like that's a technical gun charge. Society has so far moved past that. A society that would have no problem with drunks running around slamming Jack Daniels and knocking back a 30-pack and running around with their firearms is far different from a dude giggling and watching TV in the sofa, just chill and relaxed. The ramifications and the effects of different drugs have different impacts on people. So yeah, these gun charges, it's not like he's running guns through Fast and Furious down to Mexico. Yeah, that was our CIA. Wasn't that our CIA? That was Obama.
That was Obama and the Justice Department, Eric Holder.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
The
the
CIA was
Injustice
well
Department.
involved, and they're intertwined with the cartels.
Anytime you see something bad, it's the CIA. It's like we're
You got to
so
make that
lucky.
black budget money.
Yeah, I love that I love that line from what was that? Independence Day, and they bring the president down and they have the captured alien crafts. We'll get to that story in a moment, but and he's seeing all this stuff. He's like, "Where do you get the budget for this? Wouldn't this be on a line item?" And the guy looks at him and goes, "Now you don't really think we spent $2,500 on a toilet seat, do you?"
25,000. I think it might be
Oh,
35.
was it 25,000?
The way that they cooked the books on that.
Yeah, and then if you have your accounting, all of a sudden building 7 goes down, all of a sudden there's an explosion at the Pentagon, exactly at the filing folders where all this was hidden. And then all of a sudden people forget that story because we're at war with Iraq because of what the CIA did with the Saudis. Make it make sense, Blake. But yeah, I mean, these aren't gun running charges to get guns into the hands of criminal cartels that are executing Americans. This is because somebody got high. Like it's really the weakest of the gun charges you could ever imagine. And by the way, shall not be infringed. Tell me what part of our Second Amendment right allows somebody, New Mexico governor. Did we cover that story yesterday on Tuesday? Did we even cover that?
No, we never even said anything because I think it broke over the weekend.
Oh my
And
God! All right, I'll put that in the stack for the end of today. But let's tear through the stories. But this is Hunter being indicted. Blake, I don't know if you have some information in front of you or if you want me to lead this one, but it is late breaking. It's a long time coming, but like MTG said, and it's like I said, you're burying the lead, you're hiding the obvious. Like Hunter needs to be charged with a ton of things. The gun thing is the most irrelevant red herring amongst all of them.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's probably their strategy is they'll just get them for a little tiny thing and then ignore the business deals, which is obviously could have Joe impeached and incarcerated. So this is from your Twitter, Brian. From you retweeted Kanakoa the Great, who says Hunter Biden has been indicted on federal firearms charges. Breaking story. It's a strategic diversion tactic to draw attention from the hundreds of crimes on the laptop, including unregistered foreign lobbying, money laundering, and bribery involving the president. So here it is. Let's give you a little slap on the wrist. Yeah, he's was a crackhead. And what did he do? Threw his somehow his gun ended up in a dumpster somewhere. But he technically, by the law, like if you're a crack addict or something, you're supposed to like surrender your firearms. I don't think anyone's ever done that. Like calling the police, hey, I got addicted to crack. Can you take my guns away? I mean, that may be the proper procedure, but these people are out of their mind. So why would they do that? So anyway, this is stupid stuff. But
yeah, well, when it comes to that as well, it's like, okay, so how do you even define that? If you've ever had a beer, if you've ever had a shot or a mixed drink at a bar, you're under controlled substance, or so it doesn't fit the classification. So what if you're on Zoloft? What if you're on selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors, the ones that most of the school shooters are on? Does that mean you can't have a gun? What if you're seeking help for if you're seeing a therapist and you're discussing psychological scenarios with them, and you're trying to make sure that you have sharp mental acuity and you have good rationality with processing, does that mean you're not allowed to have a firearm? So it's just crack cocaine. So if you do it once, you can never have a gun, or you have to do it every day? It doesn't make sense. By the way, shall not be infringed. I'm not here saying I think people strung out on methamphetamine should be walking around with or driving down the road in a tank. Okay, like I don't think that's wise. But tell me what part of shall not be infringed means. Well, if you've done an illicit drug, however illicit drug is determined and defined. By the way, aren't our intelligence agencies the ones that are guarding the opium poppy fields out in Afghanistan, or at least were until we ran the hell out of there? Weren't we the ones responsible for all the opium that was coming across here, all the heroin that was killing our neighbors and our family members in the streets? So once again, the CIA and the alphabet agencies doing a bang up job fucking up the world and fucking up America. I don't know how we got to this point, Blake. Like, we're supposed to have a couple alphabet agencies that just kind of keep an eye on the bad guys, but they've turned inward. They're like, no, we are the criminal syndicate. We are the mafia. We are the ones that are going to run this town, and we're going to run it into the ground. And what are you going to do to us? What are you going to do about it? What are you going to do?
Yeah.
We're not hitting you. We're not hitting you. We're not hitting you. And they're up in your face. And I don't know.
It happened after World War II. Right. Yeah, I think it was kind of pretty much after World War II, and these agencies that did a lot for us during the war. And then I guess when the war was over, they had nothing to do, and nobody ever wants to cut back on the government spending. So we couldn't send these people to other jobs. So they left the deep state, and then Eisenhower warned us about the dangers of the military-industrial complex. He was worried he was going to get shot. That was at the very end. That was his farewell address. And then Kennedy came in, didn't want to go into war with Vietnam, and then they murdered him for a variety of different reasons, but that was one of the major ones. And then they took over. They said, hey, we're going to run the show now. And so they basically controlled. Most of the presidents have been puppets. And a few that were actually good, like I'll say Reagan, was they tried to assassinate him, give it to Bush. And then when Trump won, they chased him out, and now they're trying to make sure he doesn't run again by jailing him for any number of different things.
But even before that, if you think, Richard Nixon, remember Richard Nixon carried California. Richard Nixon, when you say his name today, he's been so furiously slandered because of what? Because of to quote Van Jones, a big nothing burger. Watergate was the most blown out of proportion, non-story story that was used to ruin his presidency and drum him out of town. You know,
well, nowadays that would just be like a routine thing, and it would be out of the news cycle in 24 hours. They'd be like, oh, they were caught spying on some people and tapping phones. Like, okay, well, that's just like a regular Monday now. So
Obama had fake FISA warrants crafted. Like they were spying on the Trump campaign the whole time Obama was in office. We have a Fourth Amendment. If our Supreme Court cannot supersede what's happening in the White House and smack them down and charge them with the treason and civil rights violations that they are incurring and blatantly thumbing their nose at, I don't know what hope we have. You hear about, the civil rights movement, the civil rights movement, the civil rights movement. You just close your eyes. What does your mind's eye see, Blake? When I say the civil rights movement, close your eyes. What do you see? Tell me a picture.
I see Martin Luther King marching.
Of course. And you got a bunch of people with him, right?
Yeah, which was heroic and amazing and inspiring.
Okay. So
and our civil rights taking a knee.
Right. Yeah, that was really inspiring. I heard he's going to replace Aaron Rodgers in New York. Anyway, but yeah, you close your eyes and that's the image you see. You've seen it on television 1,000 times. You read it in your school books, etc. It's painted on murals at the sides of the building. Cool. But our civil rights are all of the Bill of Rights. Our civil rights, our God-given rights that government cannot, may not, shall not, will not ever take away. It includes the Fourth Amendment right against illegal, search and seizure spy tactics. And so I don't know who is supposed to be enforcing this stuff, but our civil rights are being blatantly violated. Obama should have served jail time by now for what he did to Trump. Spying on his campaign should have landed him with the most enormous civil rights abuse charges in the history of our country.
Yeah, but not when the Department of Justice is running it. No. How are you going to go about that when it's corruption at the very highest levels? When the executive and the judicial, I don't want to say the whole judicial, but the Department of Justice. So if they're going after him, or the FBI, CIA, NSA, how are you going to go above that? So as where we are, this is
Supreme Court. Supreme Court is where you go. The Supreme Court is where you're supposed to go.
Well, we'll see. We're going to hope that Congress does something. Not holding my breath. I don't know where Supreme Court comes in to play, but that would be nice if somebody could get us out of this mess.
Well,
I don't see it. This is a compromised nation. Yes. Yeah, we have been taken over by the kleptocracy. And they do not want to have any more populists, and they're going to shut down alternative voices so they can control all the news. Well, welcome to the New World Order.
Oh, I was looking for my.
How did that work out for Justice Scalia? They know what they're up against. They're not dumb. If it was that easy, it would have been done by now. But it takes some people with some major courage and willingness to die, and then willingness for other people to carry on. Like we talked about recently with going over the Breitbart assassination. They killed him. It seemed pretty obvious. He was exposing Obama in the worst ways, announced it. He was basically going to derail his presidency. He mysteriously has a heart attack outside of a restaurant. And then the coroner dies. And then the whole media comes out and covers it up and says, these conspiracy theorists think that it was foul play and that Breitbart was murdered. And then his coroner was murdered. Because then, the next people up are like, okay, we think it's legit. Nothing to see here. We didn't suspect anything. That's why we didn't look into it. No, this is how they control things. They let you know who's in charge.
Well, that's why we created a new intro.
Welcome, everybody. It's great to have you guys with us.
Yeah.
Cover the dystopia. America's descent into tyranny. Yes.
Yes. Hi to Kenneth and Dreamer and who else is in the room? Jocelyn, everybody else lurking, our federal handlers.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Yeah, Kenneth saying we are the world. Yes, of course. Do we have anything else to add about Hunter? This is breaking news. We know what we know. They didn't get him after all of the FARA. He's a foreign agent, and Joe is so wrapped up in this. I love the quote from Obama saying, "Never underestimate Joe Biden's ability to fuck things up." I love how prophetic this has become. I've never seen a catastrophic train wreck like this. Air quote coup presidency, this overthrow, rigged election presidency. By the way, if you want to check for countervailing views, the light blue bar at the bottom will give you countervailing information if you do believe that we just had the most safe and secure election in the history of elections and that there was 100% above board activity with 0.0% of voter fraud. So hi, Joe D. What's up? But yeah, go to CISA.gov/rumor control if you are like the people named Mitt Romney and Liz Cheney who claim that
don't forget crybaby Kissinger or Kinzinger.
Kinzinger. Well, he's gone either way. So anyway, follow us in all. Okay, anything else we want to add about Hunter, and then we'll move along.
Nope. I think it's a good segue for something else.
Perfect. Here's something else, and here's the new intro we have because I'm so concerned about the dire state of our country. Check it out. Created by Ted Distel. All right. Well, I was going to stay on the Biden train, but we'll jump right back to it. I just want to touch this one. The New Mexico let me read this again. The New Mexico gun ban block is unfair, Blake. Agree or disagree? I worded this as like a triple negative.
Yeah, that's exactly. It's hard to. What am I voting for? New Mexico gun ban block. I'm going to disagree. I can't believe the audacity of this New Mexico governor, but she was met heavy resistance coming out with this stuff. Basically, thinking she's the authoritarian if she wants to be, but no, that's why we have this. That's why the forefathers set up the republic with the Bill of Rights and the Constitution to prevent tyrants like this from violating our God-given rights from God, not the state. That was what they were trying to emphasize.
So this is breaking news here, Blake. A U.S. judge has frozen New Mexico governor's gun ban. So this is today, updated 19. Well, I'm sorry, I guess yesterday, 19 hours ago. Look at this tyrant. Look at this monster here. Where does she? How does she even have an R next to her name? So this is New Mexico Governor Michelle Lujan Grisham. Okay. A federal judge on Wednesday temporarily. Why is it temporarily? Just permanently block it. A federal judge on Wednesday temporarily blocked a ban on carrying guns in New Mexico's largest city after the order by Governor Michelle Lujan Grisham threw the state into the center of the U.S. gun rights debate. A U.S. District Court judge named David Urias said the governor's 30-day suspension of concealed and open firearm carry rights in Albuquerque and its surrounding county went against a landmark U.S. Supreme Court ruling that people had a right to carry a gun outside their homes for self-defense. I mean, by the way, mark that under the water is wet department. Shall not fucking be infringed. It's super straightforward.
But what if they're a crazy drunken crackhead?
Yeah.
What if they're a criminal record and they're violent and they are a drunken crackhead? Should it be infringed?
We'll get to that.
Where do you draw the line, Brian?
Where do I draw the line? Well, let's start here in New Mexico. So Urias says they just want the right to carry their guns. Urias said, who was appointed by President Joe Biden, said of plaintiffs requesting a temporary restraining order on parts of Lujan Grisham's September 8 emergency public health order. The Democratic, I thought she was a Republican governor. My bad. I must have picked up on that.
It's New Mexico, Brian. No.
What's wrong with New Mexico?
I'll give them credit. They're very liberal and not
why?
Not sophisticated. I don't know. They're nice people, but they did have Gary Johnson. That was interesting. But that's historically been very blue.
But why? Aren't they like one of those Wild West areas where you rely?
Well, Nevada to some extent, and most of the counties, not in Las Vegas and Clark County. Just like, parts of Arizona or what have you. Arizona's like an open carry, but New Mexico, no.
So the Democratic governor issued the suspension on firearm carry laws to create a cooling off period for authorities to address solutions to the state's high rates of gun crime after several children were shot dead in recent weeks. You see what happens? They always dance on the graves of kids. Every damn time. It's so gross. Well, something bad happened to a kid, so let me be a tyrant or else you're a bad person. It's like, piss off.
No, they did that in Australia. It worked like a charm. And they do that in England too. It's like, oh, okay.
Canada.
Right. One shooting, and they take guns away from everybody. And it had great success there. Which is why we have...
Over the past 4 days, I've seen more attention on resolving the crisis of gun violence than I have in the past 4 years, Lujan Grisham said in a statement after Urias' ruling. Oh, by the way, if they want less crime, how about you put the bad guys in jail? How about you keep them there? How about you take the illegal aliens and you get them out of there? Okay, so you don't have desperate poor people that don't speak the language, they don't have resources, and they're stealing things from people with force, with weapons. Why don't you just get rid of the people and put them in jail when they commit their crimes? Don't parole them back out. Don't let them out. Don't let a district attorney say, we need to be soft on crime. You know what? We should defund the police because police are bad. I just, we're going to go after the civil rights of the good people of the state. Anyway, her order outraged gun rights advocates. Oh, by the way, this is so stupid, Reuters. It outraged civil rights advocates. It's not gun rights advocates. It's civil rights. These are our civil rights, drawing backlash from fellow Democrats and law enforcement officials who labeled it unconstitutional. Dudley Brown, the president of a Colorado gun group that sued the governor, said Governor Grisham's tyranny is temporarily in check today. Gun control campaigners praised Lujan Grisham's courage, and Santa Fe's Catholic Archbishop feared more value was being given to gun. All right, I'm done with this stupid story. Shut up. I can't. Right. I'm not reading the propaganda of somebody that's saying the gun rights people, their feelings are more important than children. Won't somebody do something to help the children? Won't you think of the children? Yeah, we all love children.
Right, it's an effective emotional argument. That's why it works.
Don't try to pin that passive-aggressive bullshit on me. We all love children. Joe Biden sniffs them and touches them and showers with them. I don't mean like in a gross Biden way. I don't mean like ordering $65,000 worth of food to the White House. You know what I'm talking about. No, I mean like we all want to protect kids. And you protect kids with guns. because there's bad people that probably need to be shot if they're going to threaten our livelihoods, if they're going to threaten our well-being. If we're in danger, it's the good people who can defend us against the rabid coyote that's trying to bite into the leg of your little one and drag it off into the woods to have its way with it and chomp down on its skull. Okay, that would be a great time to be armed, kind of like if you had real human coyotes that were trying to drag people into God knows where to do God knows what with them. Interesting parallels there with the coyote world. But I digress. Blake, so the gun ban block has occurred. I'm kind of raising the alarm, asking for a bit of a fast track. I don't like how slow government works. If you can't tell, I'm not a patient human. I don't suffer fools very well. I'm calling for a fast track to the Supreme Court for shit like this, a super fast track that could just quickly be struck down. If they can't, they can't. But stuff like this is so dreadfully obvious. I mean, this lady needs to be impeached and then charged for civil rights crimes. These are crimes against our civil rights, Blake. Until people grow a spine and start indicting the people trying to take our rights away, I don't know where we're supposed to go with this. What say you?
No, I think that's fine. They can make an example of her and she can step down. Former governor of New Mexico. There you go. We'll leave it at that.
Lord willing. Okay, let's go to the next one. Let's get back to the Hunter and Joe Biden craziness, shall we?
All right.
By the way, Kenneth is hilarious. Blake, were you even here? Did you leave by the time we started talking about plums, the one show? Maybe it was
I guess so, because I didn't get the reference.
Oh God, Blake. It's the scene from Eastbound and Down. It's where Craig Robertson and Will Ferrell, he's talking about my plums. I don't know if you've ever seen that line.
I've seen the series. I was actually going to rewatch it. I watched the first episode because it's easy to watch. It's only like 44 seasons, 10 episodes each. Okay. And yeah,
I've never seen
great stuff. You never seen it?
No, I remember seeing an advertisement for it at the Barney's Beanery when you would walk around the corner, like right by the restroom there.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, what's that? Oh, that's like, I've seen that guy before. But yeah, it's like this whole thing of deleted scenes. I played it on the show. I kind of broke it down. And he works plums into just about every show now. I want the right to carry my plums.
Right. Now, that's some great stuff. Will Ferrell, I think, was the executive director, but he also played a nice role with the BMW car dealership, and I think it was South Carolina. Great. I think it's kind of like a spin-off on Ric Flair, but it's hilarious. It's a great series. I'm shocked you haven't seen that, Brian. Brian, I don't know if you have Max, because you need to watch that. I mean, it's just totally your thing. With
my thing.
Baseball player. Well, no, it's based off like John Rocker, baseball player, and it's
really?
Kenny Powers, who's played by Danny McBride, and he's resurrecting his baseball career. Yeah, because he's like goes from like winning the World Series to like being a villain, kind of in the way that Rocker was hated by New Yorkers or whatever. It's loosely based on that, and then it's just him climbing up back to this career, but he's just a raging narcissist. And it's really a funny series. So highly recommended. Eastbound and Down. And it's only, like I said, 30-minute episodes. It's easy. It's manageable.
30 minutes or 22 minutes after you take
it's sports. No, because it's HBO. So I don't know if it's, it doesn't have to be exactly 22 minutes for the ads or anything.
All right, well, Blake, do yourself a favor and type in plums, Eastbound and Down, and watch it on your own.
I know I've seen it. Yeah, I'll take your word.
But the outtakes are so good. The outtakes are good.
Yeah.
All right, anyway, back to the show. Blake, agree or disagree that there's more than enough evidence to impeach sniffing Joe Biden? Agree or disagree?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, there's just smoke coming everywhere.
No evidence. There's no evidence.
Yeah, the leftists love to say that. That's the talking point. They go out on Twitter and they just boldly proclaim there's no evidence. Why would they even waste our time with this stuff? It's like, dude, there's way more evidence than there was with your stupid sham impeachment hearings. which were totally ridiculous and just covering up the obvious.
So let me ask you this question. Let me ask you, why will the Republicans not link arms, circle the wagons, and protect Donald John Trump? The Democrats defend every scumbag in their party 100% of the time. The Republicans are just throwing Trump under the bus, led by that slimy little Ronnie D. I think it's going to be my turn to shine. All I have to do is throw Trump under the bus. That'll be great. I'm the next guy. Yeah, little Ronnie D.
Your buddy.
Why won't the Republicans link arms and circle the wagons to protect their own when they're being maliciously prosecuted, just like the Democrats do? Please help me understand.
It's easier to keep your head down and not piss off the deep state. If you're allied with them or you don't piss them up, they have 6 ways of Sunday to get back at you, as Chucky Schumer said. So they know, and they've seen people like Madison Cawthorn. They've probably seen other good people that get run out of town. Dennis Kucinich is another one. Cynthia McKinney's another one. There's probably people we haven't even heard of that got to get out of Washington because they try to do the right thing. Or even like MTG. All of a sudden, she's kind of changed. So what kind of dirt did they get on her?
Well, she's into like all sorts of stuff we've heard.
Yeah, I know. Good for her. But yeah, they have ways of finding out, using leverage, and who knows? They could be going after their spouses, their kids, and financial threats. Blackballing out of DC. They can do all kinds of stuff. So Chucky
we're just okay with this. We're just okay with this.
We're not okay with this. That's why we get on the air a couple days a week and talk about this, even though we could be in trouble for stuff like this. So, but somebody's got to stand up. I can't stand dealing with this tyranny, and we've had enough. We have no country. We have no future. We have to fight our way out of this. And I'd love for the politicians to take care of it. I'd love the news media to do something, but they're compromised. They're no longer holding powerful people accountable. They're joined at the hip, and they'll do what they say. They're bought and paid for. So it's
Jocelyn here. She's saying that Biden chose Kamala to be VP as his insurance policy. Can't get rid of old Sleepy Joe, old Sniffy Joe, old Showering Joe, old traitorous Joe, old money laundering Joe, old World War III Joe, because no one wants her to take over as POTUS. I mean, that's a fair point. Then you also have Jocelyn saying, let's not forget that Democrats believe that laws in the Constitution do not apply to them. Just ask the big guy and Hunter and Burisma. And of course, Kenneth says, that's all plum-tastic. So, okay, Blake, what do we know about this right now? What you got an article to kind of walk us through the latest shenanigans from the deep state Democrats? I used to think the deep state was just on the anyway. We're done. We get it.
Yeah, no worries. But this is an article out of the Federalist. This is exactly where I ripped off the headline. There's more than enough evidence for a Joe Biden impeachment inquiry, and saying tons actually. David Harsanyi, without evidence. So they want those 2 words imprinted in your mind. Quote, without evidence, whenever you hear about the House impeachment inquiry into Joe Biden. Since gaining the House majority from the AP, the House Republicans have aggressively investigated Biden and his son, claiming without evidence that they engaged in an influence peddling scheme.
What article?
That's what outlet put that up? Press.
Okay, so we're done with the Associated Press.
Right.
We need to make sure we shame these outlets and never consider them to be legitimate or serious ever again. When they pull shit like this, they really need to get blacklisted because it is intentionally deceptive. Anybody can get a story or 2 wrong. Oh, I thought this, I might have thought that. And, even with the Andrew Breitbart thing, we were discussing it, and it's like, well, the coroner that died, the official story was that they didn't really have a coroner do anything because foul play wasn't even suspected. So the guy that died wasn't a part of the investigation. Like maybe there's a gray area there. Maybe we thought we had the story right. Maybe they changed it after the fact to cover their tracks. But good, well-intentioned people can get aspects of a story wrong. But if the Associated Press is going to actually type something that monumentally ridiculous and disingenuous. In their article, the Associated Press is dead to me. They need to be dead to you. They must be mocked and scorned and laughed at and ignored into obscurity forever. They're claiming there's no evidence. I'm telling you, we need to compile a list of all the fake news outlets, the lying legacy media outlets that are going to claim that there's no evidence. He's on fucking camera laughing about firing Shokin because they were investigating the bribery schemes with Burisma and Hunter Biden that Biden claimed to not have any information on. They claimed he didn't do any business with his son. His son is getting filthy rich doing that. It's all a lie, and it's Joe Biden in his own fucking words saying it. So anyone saying there's no evidence here, they are on the list, Blake. They make the list. They are the list.
Yeah, they are the list. There's no intellectually honest people on the left that are going to contradict anything from here. And it's sad. Yeah, the Associated Press is I would just say, is supposed to be, take the opinions out and just cover whatever's going on with the news. But they are forcing their opinions in here. And they're also like, they have like a authority in fact checking as well. But they're actually sitting here audaciously claiming, Republicans have aggressively investigated Biden and his son and claiming without evidence that they engaged in an influence peddling scheme. How can they possibly say that without evidence? Because they count on their audience being stupid, and then they can just dismiss everybody else who says otherwise as a conspiracy theorist.
It's absurd, man.
Right.
They impeach Donald Trump.
Well, as the author's saying, by saying without evidence, it's meant to insinuate that the impetus for an investigation is itself meritless. What kind of people make accusations without evidence? But as they know, inquiries exist for the purpose of uncovering evidence. So then again, there already exists tons of substantive proof that Joe Biden was likely engaged in the family racket. Now it goes without saying that without the Biden last name, there is no Biden Incorporated. That was said by Devin Archer. That was the name. They had to use the name. They had to have that weight behind it. But numerous witnesses, many with no connection to each other or political agendas, have independently testified that he was involved. You could start with the IRS whistleblowers investigating Hunter Biden's tax case, who testified under oath that Joe was present in at least one meeting with Hunter's foreign clients, and in numerous private emails and texts and WhatsApp messages he never imagined would be made public. Hunter talks about his dad not only helping him secure payments, but taking a cut for himself. And then Hunter's former business partner contends, I don't know if this is Archer or Tony Bobolinsky, but there's a couple big names people should know.
I love that name, Bobolinsky. What a name.
Absolutely. But they contend that Joe was involved. And another of Hunter's partners, also a former close friend, maintained under oath that Joe spoke to Hunter's associates at least 24 times, often being dialed in on the phone during business meetings. Of course, these people would want proof. And there's an FBI informant documented conversations that indicated to him that Joe pressured foreign companies to send millions to the family business. And then, as you said, yes, the Ukrainian government to fire a prosecutor that was paying his son $1 million a year. They threatened to withhold $1 billion of aid. I mean, it's amazing. And maybe we could say, oh, Biden didn't need to directly benefit from the family's corrupt business ventures. But if one of the most powerful people in the United States government allows or participates in a scheme to trade on his power to make millions for his family, or deliberately gives the impression that he's willing to do so, it may or may not be illegal, but it is clearly unethical. So it's it could be 20 shell companies, dozens of bank accounts, 5,000 emails, tens of millions of dollars.
At then, least of course, 4 different pseudonyms that he's writing under different names as well.
Oh yeah. And then he's just lying about knowledge of Hunter's work for years when he gets called out on it.
Remember, it was 51 CIA officials, ex-intelligence agency officials. I believe it was 5 former CIA directors that came out and said, the Hunter Biden laptop, wait for it. They didn't say, hey, guys, guess what? It's a good thing we're here behind the scenes because We caught a bunch of illicit activity and we're going to save you from putting a crook into the White House. It's a good thing. Hey, pat us on the back. We did a great job today. We're going to keep you from that. They said, no, wait for it. It's not true. Wait, was it? It's not delivery. It's DiGiorno. It's not true. It's Russian disinformation, because they've got a raging hard-on trying to go just into Russia. They just want to destroy Russia for some reason. It's like, I grew up with the duck and cover. If there's a nuclear blast, get under your desk and cover. Duck and cover. South Park famously did that whole skit on that. I can't recall many things that Russia has ever done to me in all of these years. This great boogeyman to the east. I don't know why they've got such a hard on for this country and trying to drag us in to an unwanted, unnecessary, expensive war that's going to return our family and loved ones and neighbors and co-workers in body bags. I kind of don't want that. Does that make me the bad guy?
Perhaps. Now, going back to this article quick, this author is saying, recall that Democrats claimed without evidence for years that Donald Trump was a Russian asset.
Thank you.
And to say there is more evidence of Biden's wrongdoing than was offered in any story connected to Trump-Russia collusion, a hysteria based on leaks, anonymous sources, and fictitious works of political opposition is to dramatically understate the matter. So it's amazing what they did, and ran that Mueller investigation for 2 years, fishing expedition, trying to paint Trump, the sitting president, as some kind of Putin's bitch Russian asset that was working for him. Totally BS. And then they're going to sit there and say there's no evidence for Biden's impeachment. No, it's turnabout is fair play. You had your chance. You tried to destroy the sitting president without evidence, and now there is evidence for your guy, and you're pretending like there isn't. And I just outlined a ton of it. And so, yes, this deserves an inquiry. We cannot have the executive branch compromised to foreign assets. So
Jocelyn here says, what would we gain by replacing Biden with Harris? Longer, more incoherent speeches and endless cackling? All right, well, shit, when you put it that way, how about impeach both of them? Because remember, Kamala was bailing out. She was raising money. She was fomenting the race riots, the Democrat BLM Antifa race riots across America, so that they could harm Donald Trump's ability to gain re-election. She was raising money to bail criminals out, and she worked with the district attorneys to get them to drop the charges on the people that were destroying America for an entire season, the whole election season. Impeach Kamala for that. And by the way, let's not jump past perhaps the main point here with the Joe Biden impeachment. Mayorkas and Biden need to be impeached and then personally indicted for dereliction of duty at our southern border. You could put all the business stuff on the side. They have a job to do. They have worked tirelessly against America as enemies of America. Impeach Biden and Mayorkas and indict them criminally for dereliction of duty in aiding and abetting the enemy. Foreign invaders, military-aged males, there's a process to go through. If you don't go through the process, it's assumed that you have maleficent, what am I looking for? Malicious intent?
Malicious intent. I like that, yeah.
Malignant or malicious intent. Both are okay. Rudy Giuliani has a weird skull structure, doesn't he? He looks like one of those aliens they unsurfaced in Mexico. You see that picture of him? He's got a strange
he's getting up there in age. Yeah.
I know. He used to be America's hero. So was Trump. And then all of a sudden, they tried to do some good things for the country. And the CIA was like, you know what? We hate that. We want all bad things in our new world order. It's like, ugh. Anyway.
Yeah, well, it's interesting. He's putting himself out there to be the lead counsel for Biden's impeachment. And yeah, he did some, it's good and bad with Giuliani. There's no doubt. He's a controversial character, but he did do some spectacular work going after the mafia in New York. So yeah, he's certainly got the legal knowledge on his side to run it if they decided to. I don't know if that's going to happen, but it's funny to see him mention that and to volunteer himself on there with the Steve Bannon show. And yeah, take it from
Jocelyn here says she's offering a bit of a warning. I don't know. Do you know Cliff High? Do you
yes,
know the webbots?
I sure do. He's the woo guy.
Okay,
He's
so she's
interesting character in Washington. Yes, or I should say Washington State.
Okay,
But,
yeah. So she says we've got about a week before Cliff High's webbots predicts something big happening. He says our emotional response goes up 1,000%. Personally, I'm stocking up. That's not a bad idea.
Well, he's a crazy software genius, and apparently he can study certain patterns in language and maybe make loose predictions from the future based on some of this stuff. It's woo. So I would recommend checking him out on Twitter or following him. He's an interesting character. Not all of his predictions have come true, but he's certainly interesting. He's like a paranoid schizophrenic, but he's also, he's a genius, and he's able to, make these connections. And
Blake,
so
if you knew the truth, if you knew what was going on, wouldn't that make you appear to be paranoid schizophrenic as well?
Yeah, probably. I mean, he's well researched into some weird stuff. But
Jocelyn's saying that the webbots predicted 9/11. So yeah,
apparently he sees these big spikes. I don't exactly know how to even articulate it. We should try to get him on the show on how the software works, especially if something actually happens. Because a couple of the times that he's said, something's big is going to happen, and it hasn't. So, but you never know these days. So hopefully not. Hopefully not in this timeline, but maybe.
Might not be a bad idea to get stocked up.
It's
I know.
Never a bad idea to get prepared. Always a good idea.
Always be prepared. ABP. Yes. Okay. Anything else to add on this particular point, and we'll move along?
Ooh, bigger than 9/11, she says. All right. Well, we'll see. But next week, that's exciting news.
What was that? It's 9/11 times a million. Was that South Park? I'm trying to remember that one.
I can't remember. I think I remember it, but I don't remember where it came from.
Okay. Anything else to add on that, or shall we move along?
We can move on. We've only got
how much time do we have today?
Maybe 40 minutes, 45. I got to see. So
a real show.
We'll try. We don't have to milk every minute, but we can certainly cover as much as we can. I don't think I've been called in yet. So
all right, let's go. Next story.
Okay.
All righty then. Blake, agree or disagree that Joe Biden is too old for his second term and Kamala is not qualified?
I am going to agree, and I think we've covered this stuff before, but it's still in the news every week. And it's at least it's refreshing to see some of the major Democrats, the major leftists come out and finally have to admit that too, because they got to be freaking out. How would you like to try to cover for this guy for another 4 years and pretend everything's fine? It's clearly not. But
it feels like the Let's Go Brandon thing was like a million years ago. I mean, I had a response that I will play in a moment here that I said to Mitt Romney, and the same applies to Joe Biden. I mean, he's never been popular, and he's never been less popular than he is right now. The more you see of him, the less you like him. And actually, that was kind of the Donald Trump problem. The more you saw him, the more it annoyed certain people. And so it was like, if he just could have shut up and got out of his own way a little bit and just did some work from behind the scenes and let some other people be out front, it probably would have served him well. During the debates, if Trump would have just shut up and let Biden tongue tie himself and talk his way into lie after lie that contradicts itself, constantly jumping in to interfere with your own point, like it didn't even allow, it's timing. They say in jazz, it's not the notes you play, it's the notes you don't play, man. So it's like, you got to leave the space there. So yeah, Joe Biden, you see, I'm going to disagree.
Okay.
I don't care what his age is. I care what his competency is. Now, once again, that's a small difference with maybe no distinction, but I think it is important because Donald Trump is an older man as well. I would not have the concern putting our CEO back in the position of power that he was cheated out of. By the way, if you disagree, go ahead and check right here at the bottom. What is the one we're supposed to do for countervailing views? CISA.gov/rumor control. But, Donald Trump, our CEO, America's CEO, was cheated out of his position. But I wouldn't have the same concern that I do with Joe, because it's about competency. Yeah, Trump rambles and he goes on his tangents. That's one thing, but he's not tripping and falling over things. He's not giving $6 billion to Iran. He's not the debacle in Afghanistan. It's like I've never seen a bigger fall guy than Joe Biden. This is literally the first honest Barack Obama term. Coincidentally, his first shadow term with the meat puppet Joe Biden dancing along on his marionette strings. It's terrifying what he's doing. So it's not that he's too old. It's that he's incompetent. He doesn't seem to have his wits about him. He seems lost. He seems discombobulated. He seems as though he's in second stage dementia, early onset dementia, depending on how we want to diagnose the creep, the unpopular creep, the perpetually unpopular creep that Barack Obama said never underestimate his ability to fuck things up. He's never been popular. But yeah, I'm just saying it's not because of his age per se. I don't care if you serve till you're 95 or 105. If you can complete some sentences and if you seem to be coherently with it, if you're cognizant of your surroundings. I mean, my God, what's happening in California with Feinstein? They have an executorship? Like the daughter's taken over because she can't run her life, but they're still pushing around in a wheelchair, drooling over things. Tell me what to say. Okay. Like you're brain dead. Please step aside. You like if you need a conservatorship to tie your shoes and pay your cable bill, you certainly can't serve in Congress. There needs to be a cognition test regularly given to these people. I don't care about the age. I care about cognition, Blake. Just a fine difference, but I think it's very relevant because they're going to quickly turn around and say, yeah, well, Trump's old. So let's just head that off at the pass. I wanted to get that out there.
Yeah, no, that seems reasonable to me. We all age differently.
We do.
Yeah, but clearly Biden's got issues, and everybody knows it. And it's sad to watch these pathetic influencers and these Democratic strategists pretend like everything's great. And now you got Morning Joe. They're panicking. They know because they hear in all the private off-air conversations when they actually tell the truth, not to the public, but when they're internally talking. This is what they come up with, and they're concerned about he should not run again in 2024. So MSNBC's Joe spoke with Washington Post's David Ignatius. Apparently that's Biden's favorite columnist. And he's calling on Joe Biden, please do not run for president in 2024. He said he would carry two big liabilities. He would be 82. But again, that's Trump's up there too, but he's on a totally different level when it comes to acuity. But according to the 77% of the public, according to an AP poll, including 69% of Democrats, think he's too old to be effective for another 4 years. So it's not just Fox News trope. It's the subject of dinner table conversations across America. And there's more bad news as Nancy Pelosi refusing to say whether Kamala Harris is Biden's best running mate. Says the VP, well, it doesn't do that much. So Harris has been tasked with important roles since Biden took office, such as, holding talks to determine the root causes of the border crisis. Not sure if she's still been down there or not. So,
well, they sent her to El Paso where there's not, right? Was it El Paso?
I don't even know because El Paso is right next to one of those hot zones. I can't remember.
It's like the bottom left of Texas. They sent her to an
area.
It's
way out west. Yeah.
It was not the spot that she needed to be at. They put her in Texas, but Texas is a country in and of itself,
Oh yeah. It's like, basically 5-6 states, regions that are very different in Texas. So yeah, it's enormous.
Jocelyn chiming in saying that Biden presents too much of a liability to run for president, and saying that Biden is in big trouble when the bank statements reveal what the Bidens have been up to. So now they'll just say he's too old, of course.
Yeah, but I don't know how it's going to work for Obama, because he's, like I said, he's the puppet president pulling the strings. So the puppeteer.
So Kamala, it's going to be interesting, because you did see, if there's one thing the Democrats do better than anyone, and there's nothing they do well, they do things and they can do them completely. It doesn't mean they're good things, but when they get their talking points, they get their talking points. They don't forget to go on their shows and mention. They get a script and they got the gun to the side of their head and they're like, you better read the script, buddy. And they read their script. They are completely controlled. And Gavin Newsom was out there. He's like, now we're going to have to put this to bed. This, of course, Joe Biden is going to run and we're going to support him as he wins his second term. He's going to be our president. And if for some reason that's not the case, Kamala, she's next in line. Kamala Harris, she's the one.
Well, it's another thing that's sad about that is that the Democrats, they love Kamala Harris, in public in front of us or on Twitter or whatever, and act like she's the greatest thing too. But just how dishonest they are, because at least, what people that were supported Trump, half of them at least hated Mike Pence. But you're not going to see that from the left. They'll just say, oh, yeah, Joe Biden's, everything's great. And Kamala Harris, yeah, he's great too. It's like, no, that one, he's creepy, he's got dementia, and she's just a cackling lunatic and contributes nothing. You want her to be the president? Are you kidding me?
You got to be kidding me.
It's sad.
It was so interesting when they did their side by side, and they're saying that, like, here's what Donald Trump was doing on 9/11, 2001, and he's calling in. He's like, I design buildings. They're designed to withstand the force of a 747, 737, these big jets. There had to have been bombs planted or something. There's no way that a plane's going to go through there, and there's no way it's going to knock a tower down. That's just not a thing. And it showed what was Kamala Harris doing, and she had Montel Williams has his arm around her. She was one of Montel Williams' gaggle of giggling side chicks. Yeah. I mean, this is a serious presidential candidate. You got to be kidding me. Dreamer Ultra says Joe is too old. That's code word for we can't generate enough mail-in votes and AI votes to pass him over the finish line this time around. I don't know how they did it the first time without pausing 6 states and lying about the results. By the way, go to cisa.gov/rumor control. It's scrolling constantly at the bottom of the screen, because the social media companies want to treat me and you like kindergartners who are not able to think and have their own opinions. So go check out Countervailing Views, because they might be right and I might be wrong. You may be crazy, but it just might be a lunatic you're looking for. Anyway, now I'm gonna get an ASCAP BMI notice. Okay.
Yep. Oh, yeah, copyright strike.
Yeah, they can strike me where it counts. Okay. Anything else to add on this?
No.
Next topic.
Yay.
I'm so happy. It makes me so happy. Okay, Blake, agree or disagree that healthcare workers should be forced to take the new COVID vaccine? By the way, for vaccine-related and medical claims and political implications thereof, please visit who.int and the other things going across that scroll at the bottom, because countervailing views are, really important and stuff. Blake, what say you? Healthcare workers should be forced to take the new COVID vaccine.
Absolutely. Yes, agreed. Frontline health workers should definitely take the experimental vaccines before the public, so they know how they react. Okay, no, I'm lying. No, it's disgusting that they're going to be forcing them to do this again. Here we go, just like we did in 2020, and they're going to try to force all of these people and hold their jobs against them. So the pressure is back on. Let's get it. Here's out of the Gateway Pundit. Providence Hospital System imposes draconian mandatory COVID vaccine for healthcare workers. Non-compliance results in unpaid leave and potential termination. So they're saying do not comply. They've dropped it bombshell. Now this is the Gateway Pundit. We're just covering the news, But yes, the look at the ticker and make sure you check with the CDC and the World Health Organization and all the people that love you and care about your health. But according to this, the conspiracy theorists are saying it's Orwellian. Healthcare giant announced in its app that a platform designed for employees to stay up to date on company news that all workers, including those who are already previously vaccinated and boosted, are still now required to receive the latest COVID-19 vaccine. And get this, failure to comply could result in unpaid leave or termination.
Yeah, haven't all of these unpaid leave turned into back pay with penalties? Haven't the courts struck all these down?
That's the way it should be. They overreacted pretty badly the first time, and we've seen that it probably was not the smoothest rollout.
No, kind of like the Hindenburg, a little bumpy.
Right. And
other than the end of the play, Mrs. Lincoln, how did you enjoy yourself?
And it's also curious how that, nobody that didn't get one regrets not getting one. Nobody's out there going, man, I really wish I would have gotten, double vaxxed and double boosted back in 2020, 2021. But maybe I'm wrong. And perhaps it has done some good somewhere. And it does make the public feel safe. But I'd like to see them get all the information up front rather than being, coerced into something or forced into this. But here we are again.
Jocelyn says cases are on the rise, and so are hospitalizations and deaths from the thing. By the way, go to cisa.gov/rumor control, and what else? WHO.int, and what's the other one for countervailing views on vaccines? And yeah, I mean, there's risk of serious injury and death. That's always been the case. I mean, love them or hate them, we're allowed to determine what we put inside of our bodies. That's it. Go to who.int and cdc.gov if you want to hear about all the latest and greatest of the vaccine world. But
for sure, but wait, there's more. Mm-hmm. We've got torture and abuse. DC officials are placing January 6 prisoners in the DC gulag back on their COVID lockdowns and solitary confinement starting today. So the devastating reality of 23 hours per day solitary confinement is back for the January 6 prisoners. Today, the jail announced that the Patriot Pod, as they call it, would be on lockdown for refusing to submit to COVID testing. Lockdown status is a horrific recurring nightmare for many of the nearly 40 detainees still surviving in the gulag. So now they get no family visitation, no lawyer meetings, no haircuts, no going outside for fresh air, no cooking or showering regularly, and no religious services.
How is this America? What has happened?
Oh, we've been taken over by the bad guys, by domestic terrorists within. So they're in charge now. And we've got the FDA gone rogue. How can the government approve even more emergency use authorization jabs when there's no real emergency? So how can they lock down the prison? I mean, there's no strain out there. I mean, it'd be one thing if like some of the inmates like got sick, like, oh, there's a new strain. It's terrifying. They've got to lock it down, quarantine everybody. There's reasons why you might do that, but it's September. Nothing's happened yet. And they're just finding a new way to torture these guys and to keep them away from their lawyers and their families. In my opinion, that's kind of what I'm seeing here. But try to amp up the fear in a lot of people. And Alex Jones mentioned it, that the TSA and various airports or people close to those industries are saying, get ready. The next lockdown's coming, and they've already recommended the new booster shots.
Does it say what prison they're in? Rick is saying he never knew. Huh?
No, that's the DC Gulag.
But does it have a name?
I don't remember.
The DC Gulag.
DC jail.
Yeah, Jocelyn asking, didn't the hospitals rehire the COVID people once it was over? I mean, yeah,
I
plus
think
back
maybe
pay.
some of them did. It was a couple years, and some of them got back pay. I don't know exactly how all of that worked, but a lot of people it ruined their livelihoods. It was like you either got to take an experimental vaccine, again, check for countervailing views, or you lose your job, which was pretty devastating. No jab, no job.
Okay.
And including these are health workers when the hospitals are getting blasted.
Dreamer is asking, do they say what agreeing to comply would result in? Well, like,
yeah, do you get it like a Krispy Kremes or French fries?
no. For the people, they're not letting him outside. They're not letting him shower. They're not letting him see sunlight. They're locking him down for 23 hours a day. Like, so what? They take the jab and then they get back to
No, I don't think they can do that. I think they actually have to draw the line there. They can't force them to take that.
But isn't that why they're being put on lockdown? Couldn't somebody break and say, I can't do this because they're psychologically being abused at this point?
No, they don't give a shit. What are they?
So there's no way to get out of the penalty phase because they're not vaccinated.
No, these guys were begging to be transferred to Guantanamo. No, they're being tortured in there. They're trying to break them.
Jocelyn saying the January 6ers are in Unit 3CA. I can't read the damn comments on here, Blake. Can you see that one? It cuts off the side. Okay, hold on. I can see it on this. I get two screens. I can't see it on the main screen. Jocelyn says the January 6 people are in Unit 3, C3A, the Central Treatment Facility in the DC Jail CTF. Central Treatment Facility. Okay.
Yeah, it's on this share screen right here. And there are phone numbers people can call if you would like to help. Call the numbers below. Respectfully demand this lockdown be stopped now.
What is that number? Can you read it?
Yes, the numbers to call. Yes, January 6ers are in Unit C3A, Central Treatment Facility. Ask for warden or deputy director or major in command. It's 202-790-6601. And there's also numbers for the U.S. Marshals and the D.C. City Council.
Can you read those real quick? It's small.
U.S. Marshals is 703-740-8132 or 703-740-8400. Or you can call the D.C. City Council at 202-724-8000.
Okay. That's all I have to say on this one. Anything else? Lightning round?
I got a couple more since we're on the subject.
This
is a crazy one. This is a highly credible whistleblower. CIA offered 6 analysts hush money to shut them up about the COVID lab leak. So this was a bombshell story. The news of the suspected payoff broke from a whistleblower penned by the Select Subcommittee of the Coronavirus Pandemic and the House Permanent Select Committee on Intelligence to CIA Director Burns and McGrittis. So this letter, a testimony of a highly credible senior-level CIA officer who alleged the US, CIA used a significant monetary incentive in an attempt to discredit the COVID lab leak evidence analyzed by its officers.
Wow, do we have a theme for today, Blake? That the CIA is an enemy of the country. Once again. Another story about the CIA is an enemy of America. Again. Is there nobody good that works at this agency? Is there nobody good on the inside? They all have to do something to get into their little club, and then they all have blackmail on them so nobody goes against the line. Are there no good people that can do citizens arrests and perp walk the people that are doing this stuff? There's no, the agency just has to be scattered to the corners of the globe. There's nobody in there that can stop the insanity. They're paying people to shut up about the lab leak. They're defending Fauci's gain of function research. They're defending the Ukrainian biolabs. They're defending Wuhan. They're defending the coup against President Trump. They're on the wrong side of every fucking issue. There's nothing these guys are getting right. Everything they do is a lie or deception, or they're framing somebody. They're framing them. They're trying to ruin somebody without cause, without actual events occurring. These people are just monsters. There's nobody inside that can help. There's literally nobody at the agency that works for America anymore. So who are they working for? They're Chinese?
No, they know
Who actually runs the CIA?
Okay, well, imagine if you're a good person at the CIA. What are you going to do?
Citizens
damn
arrest.
well they will ruin your career, take your pension, and kill people in your family. They will destroy you, and you'll never hear the light of day. I mean, there's a few whistleblowers at the very, very top, the old school patriots that might do something, but they have to blow the whistle. And even then, they'll probably have their careers turned upside down and destroyed.
The careers are done anyway. I mean, would you rather continue?
Would you do it if you were there?
Would you rather continue to serve Satan?
Right.
I mean, like, serving Satan is not an honorable. There's no honor. Oh, well, right. I hope I get my dirty blood money. I better be quiet while we're framing Trump, while we're torturing prisoners, while we're lying about the lab leak, while we're rigging the election, while we're assassinating presidents, while we're, go down the list, knocking towers down, training, Islamic extremists. We're creating ISIS. They're literally everything bad about Earth.
Right. Well, Brian, there is some hope, and it's going to be up to us and Lara Logan and Ben Swann and the Gateway pundit Jim Hoft. It's going to be up to us to break these stories.
What does Lara Logan have? What's her story? What does she have?
This is coming out of Sovereign Media, as well as the Gateway pundit, and that's Ben Swann's group. Lara Logan dropping her much anticipated production. This is going to be the Matthew Perna story, part 1, from the rest of the story series, which is going to detail January 6th. So you can watch it there, pass it on. It's also going to be on Twitter. It's also going to be from Ben Swann, the Sovereign Media. So it's great that they've all teamed up. So there are people trying to get the truth out. And investigative journalist Lara Logan is a badass. So let's see what she can do. And so it's going to be up to this the independent media to save the country, perhaps. So the historic production series includes appearances by the Gateway pundit, some of their other correspondents, Cara Castro-Nova, J6 family members, and numerous other January 6th defendants. I think it's going to air every Thursday night. It's Truth in Media releasing the first segment, the Matthew Perna story. Matthew was as one of the J6 protesters who took his own life after the Biden regime threatened him with jail time and court dates after he walked into the Capitol. So
you mean after Pelosi? You mean after Pelosi and Mitt Romney and everybody set it all up?
Yeah, pretty much. They let it happen. Yes, they could have prevented anything from ever happening, but they wanted to get their story, and then they have covered up. They've held on to the evidence, and they're not releasing it.
All right. Well, when that comes out, make sure you tag me on it. Make sure that
that's
I get
today. Okay. Yeah, you should definitely look for that.
All right. We'll share that around. Anything else on this point before we keep bouncing?
Nope.
All right. I want to get to this. Senator Mitt Romney should run for a second term and finish the job. Blake, agree or disagree?
I'm going to disagree. I think it's time for him to go. As out of the Washington Examiner, we've got Trump celebrating Romney not seeking a second term in the Senate, calling it fantastic news for America. The great state of Utah, the Republican Party, will not be seeking a second term, where he did not serve with distinction. And there was a big primary fight against him in the offing, but now that will not be necessary. Congrats to all. Make America great again.
Let me go ahead and add my 2 cents here. This was from...
Oh, yeah. Hold on. I'm going to be right back. I'm just going to say, funny little article out of the Babylon Bee satire. Democrats scrambling to find a replacement for retiring Mitt Romney because he's basically a rhino.
Oh,
and, yes. So, yes, Brian, make sure you run your video. I got to step out for a moment, but it's excellent. I did watch it and retweeted it today.
It's funny because a lot of people have watched it. A lot of people have commented on it, and it still has like 7 views. YouTube is such trash. It is so fake. It is so fake.
It's amazing how they just brazenly cheat.
And, you know, it's so weird, too. Like, AJ, Anomaly, he puts out a video, he gets 135,000 views. I do a 3-hour sit-down, like a wide-ranging, awesome interview. It has like 40 views in 6 months. It's the silliest shit. Anyway, go do your thing. I'll just play this.
I'll be right back.
This was a little short that I put on the YouTube channel, youtube.com/TheNewAmericanMedia. So make sure that you subscribe really quick. Do it right now. youtube.com/TheNewAmericanMedia. This is just my message to Mitt Romney. I saw the news yesterday and I immediately had to jump on and say something about it. Here we go. Let's turn the volume up. And that was my take on it. And that's still my take on it. He's getting retired by the people. This isn't him graciously stepping aside. It's him avoiding a catastrophe. The people can't stand. Remember Liz Cheney? She got blown out of the water by what, 45 points, 65 points. I mean, she got thwomped. I think that's the word I was going to use. Thwomped or thwacked, thumped and whacked, or thumped and walloped, thwacked or thwalloped. I'm sounding like Daffy Duck, thwacked or thwalloped. But yeah. Oh, you're saying you can't hear? You couldn't hear that? I could hear it. That was so weird. Jocelyn's saying she couldn't hear that part.
Oh. Well, let's rip it again. Let's make sure you got it in there. So it's a quick 1-minute clip.
Yeah.
You want me to find it?
No. I have it. Or no, I just closed it. Did I just close it? Yeah, I just closed it. I don't care. But it's weird because I could hear it. I thought it would be hearable. Quick comment from the comment group. Did you hear my take on Mitt Romney? Could you hear it? Jocelyn saying she couldn't. I tried to turn the volume up. It seemed a little quiet, but it was audible. I wanted it to be louder, but could you hear it? Oh, is Blake going to try to play it?
Here, he is not going to be seeking re-election. So his press conference, and he's like, "Oh, I've been in here for."
So why isn't it running when I could clearly have the room here?
For 25 years, I'm so old, and by the time
I don't know what's going on. The deep state has shut it down.
I might get another term. I would be even older. It's like, bro, you are going to face the Liz Cheney treatment for doing what you did to Donald John Trump, to set him up, to frame him, to collude with the deep
what?
State.
Oh,
to ruin this man. A guy.
There's no reason for it to pause there because this whole segment is.
It's grayed out. It's all caught up.
Yeah.
It's buffered.
Who was actually acting like a real CEO.
Yeah. Well, Brian's got no audio, and I can't get the internet to function.
It's all right. Rick Norman is saying he heard it, Brian. Dreamer said no. Dreamer couldn't hear it. Rick Norman heard it. Jocelyn can hear it now. I fucking give up, man. I don't know. We're just doing what we're doing. But anyway, Mitt Romney is out. Thank God. Deuces. I have no love for you. Take care. Peace out. Let's go on to the next topic here. Elon Musk, Blake, he's being deliberately targeted by the deep state. Once again, the CIA is going after somebody, trying to ruin one of the good guys. Why are we tolerating this? Seriously, have you seen A Bug's Life? Where it's like they're going to rise. All it takes is one of them to rise up. There's a million of them for every one of us. It's like, come on. We can't do anything to drain the swamp here. But anyway, Elon Musk is being deliberately targeted by the deep state. Agree or disagree, Blake?
It certainly appears that way. You're going after him for everything. They do not like the fact that he is taken over Twitter and that free speech is supreme again, or at least they're trying to. It's certainly not perfect, but it's gotten a lot better since he took over. And now they're going after him for his businesses, going after SpaceX, going after Tesla. They're mad at him. They're really outraged about Ukraine was supposed to be able to use his satellite system to commit Pearl Harbor on the Crimeans and the Russians. So it's pretty bad. Let me see if I can. I know I got an article here. Let me pull that one up. Weaponized government agencies don't wish good things for me, as he says, as he blames the Biden administration for the Ukraine Starlink block. It says he doesn't know what their issue is. There's a lot of issues. He says that the world's richest man describes the apparent beef that the Biden administration has with him, apart from him calling them out on their bullshit and enabling a free speech platform. But he was on a different podcast the other day, and he says there does seem to be some kind of significant increase in the weaponization of government and really sort of misuse of prosecutorial discretion in many areas. I think this is a really dangerous thing for there to be partisan politics with government agencies. And he makes a valid point, but they're not going to take that very well, which is more reasons for them to go after him. Says, I don't think the whole administration has it out for me, but I think there's probably aspects of the administration or aspects of interest aligned with President Biden who probably do not wish good things for me. So as a reminder, the Department of Justice and the SEC are currently investigating Tesla for allegedly allocating funds to a secret project for Musk building a house. Musk has denied. Additionally, SpaceX is being investigated by the DOJ for not hiring illegal immigrants. Seriously. And then there's the Federal Aviation Administration nitpicking over SpaceX approval. So saying the only thing holding back the second planned Starship at this point is his regulatory approval. We'll see if those bureaucrats get to work, whether they're on his side or not. And of course, the Starlink has provided connectivity to Ukraine since the beginning of the war. As the Ukrainian government has said, Starlink was instrumental in the defense of Ukraine, although the media forgets to mention that. And, when the power was shut off, it was great for, Elon to jump in and provide free Starlink and internet service to the people there who didn't know what was going on. But now that the administration expects him as a private company to use his for military applications, and he said no, it's not what it's there for. But why couldn't they do it? But they're going to throw him under the bus. I guess just anything they can find a reason for to trash Elon, they are doing.
How dare they take
going after his advertisers
of Twitter away from him?
Right. And then you got the ADL going after every advertiser and trying to shut them down.
Yeah, you left the show last week and you left me with that ADL story. I could not read it. I kept going sentence by sentence and I'm just like yelling at the article. I'm like, this is the biggest pile of shit I've ever seen. I'm a big free speech advocate. I don't like these Al Sharpton, Jesse Jackson shakedown campaigns. I don't like it. I can smell them a mile away, regardless of who's behind it. Okay, so they're going after the CIA. Fucking see, damn it! Is there nobody that can just? Okay.
Nope. Unless Trump gets back in charge.
We're better than this. We deserve better than this. Amen.
Right.
I don't know who else to ask. God. Hey, please, a little help here.
We need Trump to get reelected, and we need him in control of the military, or we're just going to have to endure this. So
it's not really
it'd be
endurable.
interesting.
Okay,
yeah, Supreme Court, but then they saw Scalia. They got the message. They know what's going to happen to them. if they push back too much. So they got to go.
Yeah, that
for
John
broke.
Roberts has sold his soul.
Oh yeah, well he's totally compromised. So you're not going to
What an
expect
awful
anything from
thing.
him.
All right, let's stay on the Elon Musk and deep state Ukrainian situation and ask this agree or disagree question. Blake, agree or disagree that Ukraine should have 1 month deadline to win the war or concede? That they should have a 1 month deadline to win the war or concede with Ukraine? What say you? Agree or disagree?
I agree. This has been a terrible and it's been a substantial loss of life, especially on the Ukrainian side. They are not equipped to take on the powerful Russians. No matter how much money or equipment we throw at them, they don't. How are they going to use the equipment? How far is the money going to go? They can't risk a wider war. Can't get entangled in there. They're hoping for better things. They were trying to run this counteroffensive for the last few months. They're not gaining any ground, and they've got like 1 more month before things are the winter is gonna start to come into Ukraine, and they're gonna have to seize some of the fighting or the methods that they used to fight right now. So, is interesting is because it was actually put out by General Milley. Ukraine has just 1 month left for the counteroffensive. The highest-ranking military officer in the armed forces. There's only 1 month for Ukraine to make significant gains in its counteroffensive against Russia. So Milley issued this warning during an interview with the BBC, predicted that the looming winter would not only freeze the ground, but also the current lines held in Moscow and Kyiv. And given this, Milley said Ukrainian forces would need to recapture territories under the control of Russia over the next few weeks. So there's a reasonable amount of time, maybe 30, 45 days worth of, fighting weather left. So the Ukrainians aren't done. However, the counteroffensive has gone slower than expected. So they're fighting part of what they're trying to accomplish. They've made minimal gains against the heavily fortified Russian lines. It's a big omission from the general here. And so this is going to be a long, slow, hard, and high casualty producing war. It's exactly what it is. It's kind of like World War I when the Germans in France and just like a million people died, and neither side actually gained more than a couple miles of territory. So it's really awful. It's the horrors of war. And this should not be happening. And it seems, in my mind, I'm putting this out that if they don't do it in 1 month, it's time to stop putting money in weapons and putting these civilians and throwing them out on the front lines where they're getting wiped out. It's got to stop. Just concede. Give Russians the Donbass, parts of the east. Give them Crimea. Of the south, those people are aligned with Russia anyway. They'd rather be part of Russia than be part of the Zelensky regime, which was put in there from a coup by the United States. So they don't want to be part of that corrupt Ukrainian, this new wacky system. They want to be back with, they'd rather be governed by Putin. It's time we respect their wishes and put an end to this thing. Russia's not going to go any farther than that. They're not going to start a big conflict with NATO. They're not going to try to go into Poland where they speak Polish and have a completely different culture. So it's enough of this.
But that's the talking point. They keep repeating the same stupid stuff. Like there's no evidence of corruption with Biden. It's like, I can't with you people. You guys are such a joke.
Oh,
now if we did see Russia going after other countries, you go, okay, I'm going to have to change my perspective and my opinion now because there's actual proof and evidence that we have a different situation. This needs to stop. I hate that so many people are dying over there. I want it to stop. I guess my opinion is very similar to that of Donald John Trump in that way. Rick is saying, who made the call? Yeah. Pentagon can't do a thing unless everybody's on the same page. Think about it. What was the next one, Blake? Jocelyn was saying
Ukraine is lost.
Ukraine is lost. Russia's mopping up. Blinken just sent F-16s, planes that carry nukes, but no pilots. No, we sent pilots too. Yeah, so I mean, like we are at a war that we haven't declared. We don't like this is nonsense.
And speaking of Blinken, let's also make a point here. According to great journalist Max Blumenthal, an actual a good leftist, saying that Tony Blinken stands to make a lot of money off the Ukraine war. And that's what it all boils down to, is that these wars are about money and power and control. So I guess he was speaking to host Russell Brand. The leftist Gray Zone editor-in-chief Max Blumenthal pointed out that U.S. Secretary of State Tony Blinken stands to make a lot of money and through the war from his company WestExec. This is like Dick Cheney. What was his Halliburton? They made a ton of money during the invasion of Iraq. So Ukraine has been drunk off the delusional fantasies out of Washington that they can somehow win, when it's clear they cannot. And this is 72,000 Ukrainian casualties, I guess, since June. Now, it's according to Russian estimates. We can't, totally believe anything we hear out there. But
I'll agree on that.
Right. But Blinken, yes, he visited Kyiv September 6th. He met with the foreign minister and Zelensky, promising another $1 billion in aid. U.S. funds for Ukraine stands at almost $111 billion. They failed to capture any real territory. They were supposed to cut off the land bridge between Russia and Crimea, and they also blew up the Nord Stream pipelines and ruined the energy costs of Germany and Europe. There's been a disaster all around. It's a huge failure. And they can't
Barack Obama's third term. This is Barack Hussein Obama's third term with the Biden puppet. All because the CIA said that this is so much more important. This will make America such a better place. This will make the world a better place. A better place for who? Literally point to one thing that's better.
Yeah, this could have been settled very easily long time ago, just giving up those territories, but they didn't want to. And now it's all been exposed, and the biolabs and the bombing of the Crimean Bridge and the Nord Stream pipelines and the tens of thousands of deaths, all the money we've thrown over there. There is nothing good about this.
It's so gross. Build our border wall. Get the illegal aliens out of here. Rebuild Hawaii. Clean up the drugs in our streets that are turning Philadelphia and Detroit and Los Angeles and San Francisco into zombie movies. Like I just don't get it, man. If this could be paradise. We have so much potential and it's just all being squandered. It seems so intentional. You couldn't make this many mistakes by accident. It's all intentional. Two more stories here quickly. Blake, all Russian propagandists should be hunted down for justice. Agree or disagree?
I am going to disagree. And so this is actually
the Putin puppets.
Oh, yeah. Well, you got to see this one. This is incredible here. This is if Tokyo Rose was a twisted transgender, we would have this Sarah Ashton Cirillo, who has been this outspoken. She's involved herself into this conflict. Very shady character, and she's issuing a stark warning to Russian propagandists that all will be hunted down and justice will be served.
I don't understand this transgender. This is a guy or this is a girl?
This was a guy. I think
it's always a guy.
Years ago.
You didn't know. You don't change. It's a guy.
Right.
That's presenting themselves and living their life as a lady.
It's a mentally ill patient. Yeah, I believe they had a kid. Like I think this person was married, if I remember right.
Okay, yeah, not that it's super relevant, but I
decided to transition. It's somebody who's like a raging sociopath and has no business being over there. But she's, for whatever reasons, she's serving as an English-speaking spokesperson for Ukraine. And she's out there issuing warnings against Russian propagandists and saying, well, I'll just let her speak. You got to hear it. It sounds like a demon stuffed in a human suit, but here we go.
Russia hates the truth that their obsessive focus on a Ukrainian volunteer is simply allowing the light of the Ukrainian nation's honesty to shine brightly. Next week, the teeth of the Russian devils will gnash ever harder, and their rabid mouths will foam in uncontrollable frenzy, as the world will see a favorite Kremlin propagandist pay for their crimes. And this puppet of Putin is only the first. Russia's war criminal propagandists will all be hunted down.
They use the phrase. They use the joke phrase. Anytime people use certain joke phrases, you know they're a complete joke. That's hilarious. I had no idea they were going to use the Putin puppet phrase. That's what they said about Trump for 6 years, because they just wanted to pin the tail of Russia onto Trump, and we're going to. That is hilarious.
Oh, it's going to be hilarious. Yeah, it is. It's bizarre. And why they would choose this person, why she has any credibility. I don't know how all of this happened, but she is out of her mind. And people were comparing it. It's like the video game Command and Conquer, where it's like a bad actor, trying to act as this, evil, state media representative, threatening people. That's why I can say it's like Tokyo Rose. That was a lady that was taunting the U.S. troops in World War II by just, spreading propaganda and telling them how they're losing and they're going to be hunted down, blah, blah, blah. So
to glance at this person, it looks like a guy who's dressed up as a girl, though. You're saying this is a girl that's pretending to be a boy?
No, this was a man. And
well, is a man, always a man.
Well, I think they actually went through the surgery, I think.
You can have a surgery, you're still going to be a man. You're just going to be a mangled
man. As a biological male,
you are.
Born as a biological male, and is now...
Okay, I thought you said this person had kids, like birthed children, like a female. I misunderstood. I'm sorry. Yeah, this is a guy with a he's trying to use a lady voice.
Right. Well, I'm sure it's on hormones, and he's gone through the process of transitioning. And now it's Sarah.
You don't change who you are. You don't transition to something else. I was a rabbit. Now I'm a unicorn. No, you're just a rabbit that had some surgeries and you're talking different. Like you're still a rabbit. Anyway, okay.
Well,
that's what I thought. I'm looking at the outline here. I'm like, this is a guy, isn't it?
Yes.
Anyway,
this is a very deranged individual. But wants to be called Sarah, and this is wants to be addressed as a female. I'll respect that, but I don't respect this just hilarious propaganda, which is laughable. But this
person is a terrorist then? Like this person is going to harm people? Like they're gonna start killing journalists? That's what they're saying?
Yeah, a lot of this is kind of directed at Gonzalo Lira, who is a phenomenal journalist who's been hilarious and informative and has contradicted some of the what the establishment is putting out there. As we've already addressed, this war is not going so well. And Gonzalo Lira has done a great job, but they don't like the fact that he is saying something different. And so they've arrested him. And they tried to escape because he knew that he was going to die in Ukrainian prison. And they captured him again. And she, I guess, showed up at a trial the other day to go after him. So we'll finish.
And justice will be served as we in Ukraine are led on this mission by faith in God, liberty, and complete liberation.
Totally nuts. So I've been calling her out on Twitter because she's putting out this absolute crap. She was saying that the people aren't serious. They're breaking narratives about Ukraine and justice. They're mad at Gonzalo Lira's getting a fair trial. I don't know what the hell she's talking about. They're mad that Gonzalo Lira and his defense attorney got to cross-examine her at length and blah, blah, blah. None of it makes any sense. So Gonzalo Lira should not be on trial. He's a journalist who deserves to be brought home, not sentenced to die in a Ukrainian prison. She's got to be cross-examined because she has no credibility. Let's say her motive is suspicious. Her motives in general are completely suspicious. So she's like a crazy cartoon character. Here's another one where she was saying, talking about how great Kharkov is, or Kharkiv, however they pronounce it, saying they understand liberty and liberation and that liberation is Ukraine. So I called her out. I said, oh, wait, Kharkov understands liberty and liberation? Except for journalist Gonzalo Lira, who was tortured and thrown into a prison camp by the SBU. It's time to free our guy. So It's disgusting. I don't know where this person came from, and it's just the cartoonish propaganda that they're pushing down at us.
Jocelyn is asking if this person works for the Beast, a leftist rag. I don't know.
Yes, she actually wrote an article bashing. I was going to try to find that earlier. I tried to pull up the Daily Beast article, but it's hidden behind a paywall. And allegedly, it was written by when she was a man under her previous name, which she's trashing Gonzalo Lira. No, she's a flaming propagandist. I would call her a glorified sex worker, if anything. But she's out there LARPing like she's a real journalist. But she's probably serving the Azov Nazi terrorists, giving them aid and comfort.
Good Lord.
But
okay.
we'll save that one for another day. But
all right. And Gonzalo Lira has been missing for a while now.
Yeah, but I guess he was on trial. Hopefully things went well. It's hard to get information out of there. But imagine having that creature testify against you when she knows nothing about you and she just mindlessly parrots the crazy propaganda and is threatening that anybody that contradicts that is some kind of a Russian propagandist who deserves to be hunted down. He's not a Russian propagandist. He's just calling it like he sees it. Just saying Russia's formidable and they've got a right to try to fight for these territories in Ukraine and Donbass, protect their people.
I was watching an interview with Patrick Bet-David with Larry Elder, and they were discussing, Larry was just like, I'm running for president because we need to return to a time where you can have differing opinions without being called a Nazi, like it's just the insane length that we've gone to and how things have been twisted and weaponized against people is just really been absurd. It really is the Barack Hussein Obama factor. When he came in, it got really bad and it's been really bad ever since. Okay. Final story. Unless you have any.
I've got it. Yeah. It's about the minute. What is it real quick? I didn't know we had one more.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I got it pulled up. What have you seen? What's your take on this? This is from Coast to Coast AM. Alleged alien bodies have been unveiled at Mexican congressional hearing on UFOs, and we're hearing more and more about UFOs. I guess Russia had releases about this, and the United States is talking about this. We've heard down in Florida, little Marco Rubio talking about aliens, and just everybody's talking about aliens now. So I guess what's your take on this?
I thought it was weird. I mean, I'd like to believe that there's something going on, and there is. I mean, there's definitely a cover up. I do believe aliens have been here. They've probably been here the whole time, but I think whatever they put out the other day out of Mexico is a hoax. And I'll just post this tweet here from Mike Barra, who's obviously into UFOs. He believes in it, but he also debunks a lot of stuff and tries to hold people accountable. And he was surprised that people were saying in that UFO that these were suspicious, and I guess they've been shown before. And Gaia busted showing some alien mummies years ago too. So interesting. Put these out. It looks interesting. It's a fun story, but there really doesn't seem to be anything to it. Not this. It's another distraction.
I listened to Pat McAfee talking about this yesterday.
But I've got to run. I got 5 minutes. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Got to run. Thank you, everyone. Good job, Brian. You can carry us out. Great to see everybody again. I can't wait to do it again next week and see what other crazy news we have. But take care. I'm out. And we'll see you next time.
This is Blake. Follow him on Twitter at TV's Blake Walley and at thenextlevelnews.com. Yeah, this was from Coast to Coast AM. They are saying jaw-dropping moment at a Mexican congressional hearing on the UFO phenomenon. Prominent researcher in the country unveiled a pair of alleged alien bodies said to have been recovered in a cave in Peru. Yeah, I was starting to say that I was watching Pat McAfee discuss this, and he said we would kick their ass in football. And then after they talked for a few more minutes, they said, well, what if these are just the kids? And then the adults grow to be like 13 feet tall. They'd kick our ass in football. Anyway. The astounding specimens were reportedly presented to assembled politicians by ufologists and journalist Jaime Mossman on Tuesday in Mexico City, displayed in 2 separate boxes. The eerie remains somewhat resemble the classic depiction of a gray alien, as they're diminutive in nature, sport sizable heads, and feature only 3 fingers on each hand. While testifying under oath, Mossman argued that the odd bodies are a clear demonstration that we are dealing with non-human specimens that are not related to any other species in our world. Making the case for that fantastic scenario, UFO researcher claimed that testing on the remains determined that more than 30% of their DNA was unknown. He also asserted that carbon dating on the bodies found that they are 700 to 1,000 years old. Intriguingly, x-rays of the mysterious entities were also displayed during the presentation, and the scans showed that they contained some kind of metal implant as well in one of their bodies. And in one of their bodies, there appeared to be eggs. While Mawson conceded that we don't know if the beings are genuine aliens, he theorized that they were intelligent and they lived with us, and as such, they should rewrite history. The stunning presentation has understandably sparked headlines around the globe, with some online observers incorrectly drawing the conclusion that it constituted official alien disclosure from the Mexican government, when in fact it was just Mawson's personal testimony, alongside experts that he had assembled for the event. As such, one would be wise to temper their expectations and excitement at this time until further tests on the bodies can be completed, as he has previously made similar claims concerning mummified alien bodies found in Peru, which ultimately did not turn out to be extraterrestrial in nature. With that in mind, what do you make of this? So that's a question. What do you make of this? I don't know. I just know that they are hooked. You know, if you liked the lies before, let me tell you about Project Bluebeam. Oh, brother. Look up Project Bluebeam if you are in the mood for some storytelling. So, I don't know. I don't know. We shall see. Jocelyn is saying that there have been UFOs found that would accommodate small ETs. So anyway, yeah. I'm interested. I love the Ancient Aliens series. It kind of makes sense that, you know, there are beings that descended from the skies in chariots of fire. Every continent has books about this, dating back to time immemorial. Are we the aliens? I mean, I was also hearing that what was it from Mars? That like the surface of Mars appears to show like the same type of signature as when a nuclear blast goes off. And it's like, well, what if we came from Mars? What if we are the extraterrestrials? What if we came from Pleiades, like the Seven Sisters, Ben Franklin's Seven Sisters Lodge in Philadelphia? I don't know. I mean, that kind of makes sense to me, but I just kind of feel like it's almost like if the wrong people are trying to push the story, it almost proves that it's not accurate. And if they're trying to cover it up, then you know it's probably true. That's not always the right way to operate, but it is a mathematical formula that's worked pretty well for me so far. It's rarely let me down. That when the known liars continue to push things, chances are it's going to be incorrect. That's not always the case. So like, use your discernment, but yeah, beware of the false flag. Beware of the false revealing, the Antichrist, the great deception, if you will. I mean, Project Bluebeam, you saw at Coachella where they had Tupac on stage rapping, performing a 3D hologram. Well, you know, people have said that about 9/11 with the planes going in. You've seen a couple of videos from the ground level and you watched it. People said they saw it, but you've also heard people say that was CGI. That didn't happen. You're like, I mean, I saw what I saw, but I wasn't there. I don't know. And now with AI being so good with deep fakes, I mean, what we see and what we hear, is that even what's going to be reality at this point? I don't know. Who knows? But yeah, I don't know what to make of these UFO things, but I'm interested in the topic. I'm convinced that they're out there, or we are them. I don't think they were here and they're gone. I mean, what if the aliens are the bad guys? What if they're the ones that are calling all the shots and like they're just addicted to madness? They're addicted to pain and suffering and harvesting loosh. They just love torture and torment and pain, and they're monsters. They're demons. Maybe. I don't know. But that's the question of the day. Type it in the comments. I don't know. What say you? But yes, for Blake Walley, I'm going to sign out for now. This has been the New American Media. I just want this country to kick ass. I want us to be awesome. Yeah, the alien mafia, Kenneth. Now, I want this country to be great. I want this planet to be cool. There's plenty of resources. We can all have awesome lives. I'm just tired of the lies. I'm tired of the pain. I'm tired of the endless suffering, the unnecessary wars and the theft. And it's just, there's got to be a better way. There's got to be a better way. But we have to hold people accountable. Period. We have to expect more, demand more. This has gone on too long. We're kind of at the edge. We're in a dangerous, precarious spot, and we just got to do better as humans. So that's my hope. If you're one of the good guys on the inside, like, the time is now. Like, there is no tomorrow. There is no, I'll deal with this later. Yeah, maybe one day I'll stand up and I'll do something good to help out. Like, this is our plea to you and to the great creator of the universe, wherever you happen to be. We could use some help right about now, the good kind of help. Really, because it gets a little frustrating from time to time, but that's why we cover the news, because we're going to at least give you our perspective on it. We're never going to try to lie to you, because I don't give a shit. Nobody pays me to tell you any lies. Just Blake and I try to unpack what's happening, and with your comments, with the help of your comments, we try to make sense of it all. That's what we're here for. So follow us in all the places, please. Subscribe, The New American Media, everywhere. We got to boost the numbers. You got to share our content to your smart friends, please. We want to grow these numbers and become, right at the top of the game. I don't know what the other big boys are doing that we're not, or that we're incapable of doing. We have insight, we have intelligence, we have some humor, we have timing, we have a lot of the things that it takes to become successful at this. And like Blake said, we've put in more than 12 years working on this craft. So here we are. So subscribe all places, and we'll be back again on Tuesday with another live episode of the Agree to Disagree show. My name is Brian Engelman, signing out. I appreciate you. I love you. And we'll talk to you again soon. Take care. Peace.